We're live today on Newsnow.
And today we will be discussing an important of budgeting, and we have here live testimony from Jesus, a skilled doctor who came from the top and lost everything due to lack of budgeting, as well as to hear our expert Hema on how we can get back on track to budgeting.
However, for the audience that may not be aware of this terminology, budgeting is a plan for saving and spending of money. A budget may include, but is not limited to, how much money you will spend saved towards housing, saving, utility, health care, consumer debt, food, groceries, personal care, services.
In order to budget, you need to set 3 types of financial goals: a long-time goal, short-time, and intermittent goal. Set these 3 goals are essential to make sure you are on track on your savings and spendings. You are allowed yourself in your budget.
A short-term goal is something you want to accomplish with your money in the near future, such as saving at 10% of your income each month. In order to reach these short-term goals, you need to incorporate the estimated cost in your monthly / yearly budget as a new expense. Therefore, it is important to trim down on debt first so you can have free money towards your goals.
Long-term goal is something you want to do in the future, such as buying a house 10 years after you graduate high school. In order to complete long-term goals, you need to be consistent in your savings. Consider the intents and saving account, cut from expenses, and consider things that might increase your income, such as tips, gift cards, birthday money, and etc.
Finally, intermediate goals are goals that usually take up 3 to 6 months to accomplish, such as saving to buy a new iPhone. Knowing your goals, where you're at, and where you're going is essential in budgeting.
Now that we know more about budgeting, let's hear from Hema and Cassandra, who will tell us life experiences. However, before we hear our life testimony, we went to the streets to test people's knowledge of budgeting. We know more about budgeting. Let's hear from Cassandra and Jesus, who will tell us life experiences. However, before we hear our life testimony, we went to the streets to test people's knowledge on budgeting. Hey, hello. So today we are talking here with Troy Bolton. So Troy, what do you do for a living?
I'm a bailador exótico.
Bailador? What is that?
In other words, it's a stripper.
A stripper. Wow. Okay. So, we want to ask you some questions on how do you budget? How do you save money?
Honestly, I keep it as a secret, but I'm gonna let you guys know. Every weekend I make about $2,000. Depends on the tip.
Okay.
But every week I save like 1,000. I just pay the rent and whatever I need for food.
Oh wow.
Good afternoon. I'm here with Jesus, who will explain to us how he went from being the top doctor to a homeless. How can you tell us how you went from being the best to no one?
So it all started when I was a freshman in college. I had just started a new journey in my life. I had to become a professional, and I had half my schooling paid with scholarships, and the rest were my student loans.
But it seemed like you had everything under control, so what went wrong?
Sophomore year in college, I began to go out more, party more, let loose of my responsibilities, see so much time spent in studying really wears a person out, and you did just want to relax and enjoy life. So that's what I did every week, and a percentage of my check stopped going to paying off loans and going for food and new outfits and other expenses that I really didn't need. And I had a bright idea to get a credit card.
Can you explain to us why you decided to get a credit card? Since a credit card is a payment card issued to users to enable the card holder to pay for goods and service based on the card holder's promise to the card issued to pay them for amounts. Therefore, you basically borrow money, sort of like a loan. So if a loan wasn't working out for you, what made you think a credit card would?
I wanted a credit card to be able to purchase items without having to pay them out of pocket. However, I forgot I would have to pay the money back and made various of late payments, and each time I would authorize less money on my account, so I began to apply for one card after another. I was surprisingly approved for various, but they never told me that because of my credit score was becoming low, I would need to pay a higher interest rate.
So when you got the credit card, what did you do?
I began to shop. I would buy here and buy there as my heart pleased. I began to collect debt. However, I wasn't done yet. I began to apply for more credit cards, and I would get accepted for some and others were declined. And I didn't know that every time you apply for a credit card loan or released a hard inquiry of credit, it is requested from your record files, and too many hard inquiries can damage your credit score.
So your credit score began to drop?
Right. There are 10 most common mistakes that will ruin your credit score, and I committed at least 5 of them.
And what are those 10 mistakes you made to damage that credit card score, and which ones did you commit?
Well, the first mistake I made was racking up credit debt early in life. See, many people tend to get their first credit card in college, and that isn't recommended because they began to accumulate debt. Find it's easy. Well, the first mistake I made was racking up credit debt early in life. See, many people tend to make their first credit card in college, and that isn't recommended because they begin to accumulate debt, find it easy to push it to the side, and not realize that if they leave the debt for later, the amount will increase and increase. Now, my second mistake was paying my loans late, which is one of the huge mistakes we need to avoid. 1 or 2 late payments won't hurt you, but too much will begin to add up, and it will increase your debt.
If your credit card debit is above 50% of your limit, your credit score begins to be affected. According to experts, you're supposed to keep debits between 10% to 30% of your limit.
My fourth mistake, as I stated earlier, was applying for new credit cards often, since they require a hard inquiry, and too many hard inquiries began to lower your credit score. Now, my fifth mistake was that my landlord would send me text messages the first of every month to remind me that I needed to submit my rent payment. However, he soon stopped doing that. I thought it was because he saw I was responsible and I was giving me a few days off. Therefore, if my payments was due on the 1st, I wouldn't pay it until the 6th. I thought my landlord and I were close, but then I realized he would still report me for late payments, and it began to drop my credit score.
Wow, so your score was really affected?
Yes, they did.
Now is there another message that you would like to leave our audience before we leave?
I would like to remind the people the benefits of budgeting, such as giving you control over your money, keeping you focused on your goals, making you aware of where your money is going, helps you organize your spendings and savings, provides a view of early warning.
Very important message. Thank you for your time. Well, now we will return back to the studio with Modesto and Guadalupe.
Thank you, Jesus, for your time, and Cassandra for the amazing interview. Now we're back in the studio with Emma, an expert in budgeting and crediting, who will answer any question from your audience through Facebook Live.
However, before we open up for audience questions, we conducted another survey to see the community's knowledge on credit.
So I am here today with Ana Avinas, and Ana, why should we invest in stocks?
Investing in a stock gives you a return in your money, but there is a fall down. This means that a value stock can drop in short terms. There's no guarantee you will actually realize any source of positive return. You could also lose money by even over the long term.
Oh, so investing in stocks like can give us a positive outcome but may not have our money back, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and well, unfortunately, it's an event that occurs to various people in our nation. People go from having it all to having nothing because they didn't know how to manage their budget or credit score. Thankfully, I am here to help and answer any question the public may have.
Well, thank you for your time, and we now open our floors up to our audience to ask questions on your Facebook Live.
Carlos 507 asks, what tips could you provide someone to start a budgeting or stay on budget with so much temptation, such as Sears being on sale and Black Friday around the corner?
Although there are a lot of temptations, the top 8 tips I provide is the formula known as V double PKG. Is that how I say it? Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know how to play like short.
Oh, okay. V double PKG. Are you still recording?
Yeah, síguele.
Así tú, dale.
No.
Well, we're just gonna crop it.
Build an emergency fund besides your saving account to save money for 6 months in case of financial. Build an emergency fund besides your saving account to save money for 6 months in case of a financial disaster. Eliminate or reduce expensive habits such as smoking and alcohol. Pay your savings as bills. Treat your saving as an obligation, and if you have a direct deposit, have a set amount and transfer directly to your saving account for each paycheck. Plan meals and shop ahead. Avoid running out of food and eating out by planning meals ahead and shopping weekly. Avoid stores where you know your temptation will be put to test, and plan your shopping destination accordingly to save fuel. Know your income. Your income and budget may be different for each person. For example, seasonal workers or self-employed people estimate your income by a small percentage to give yourself a margin safety. Since the first step to goal setting is knowing what you can afford, keep receipts and review them weekly. Collect receipts from your pocket or purse every night, then review them weekly. You'll be surprised on what you learn. Give yourself permission for occasional treats. It's okay to treat yourself once in a while. And finally, get your taxes withholding rights. If you withhold a small amount, you will owe money in April. But if you withhold too much money, you're giving the government an interest-free loan all year. Also, make sure to go over your taxes withhold form when you have a life-changing event, such as marriages, divorces, or an addition, subtraction to the family.
Earl_123 says her daughter just turned 18 and they are unsure whether she should get a credit card or not. What is the recommended age to get a credit card, and what are disadvantages and advantages of credit?
There isn't a recommended age, but a survey conducted by 1,000 adults recommended that people get their first credit card at the age of 22, but someone could acquire it as soon as they're 18. Have a stable financial system and are responsible enough to not be trapped in the debt game. As for advantages for credit include you don't have to carry a lot of cash on you. You may save money, help in case of emergencies. Credit is handy to make purchases through the mail, telephone, and internet, and finally credit help you buy things you didn't have enough money for. Now the disadvantages are that it usually costs more than paying with cash. Interest and other charges may be added to purchase price. You may buy more than what you can afford, and it ties up future income.
Jimena 1216 states, I was considering to get a credit card, but I am unsure what a decent credit score would be and how to maintain it. Also, what is used to determine one's credit score?
A good credit score ranges from the lowest being 300 to 850, being the highest. To maintain a decent or good credit score, you must pay your bills on time, reduce debt, keep credit cards accounts open, try to pay your credit card balance in full each month, keep a good mix of credit, such loan your credit score at least once a year for free, at annualcreditreport.com/index.action to make sure you have a good or decent credit score. It is important to have a good credit score because it allows you to have a lower interest on credit cards/loans, better chance for approval on credit cards and loans, more negotiating power, have less limitation on your loan or credit amount, easier approval for housing, better car insurance rate, and you can avoid security deposit and having bragging rights. The credit score is also known as the FICO score. And although the credit agency doesn't reveal the exact formula, we do know that the calculations are broken into 5 major categories that include payment history, amount loaned, length of credit history, new credit, and types of credit.
El Mexicano 12 says, buenas tardes, me acabo de mover a los Estados Unidos y quiero saber qué se necesita para abrir una cuenta de ahorro y cheques y cómo una cuenta de cheque te puede ayudar a mantener un presupuesto.
For the speakers that don't understand Spanish, she wants to know what she needs to open a checking and savings account and how a checking account can help you with your budget. So to open both a credit and savings account, you need a valid government-issued photo ID, such as a driver license, identification card, passport, or any other type of photo identification, depending on the bank. You will need to fill out a short application, a social security number, phone number, address, proof of address, and an initial deposit, usually starting at $20 to $25. And to manage your account, you will need to keep track of the money going in and out, pay monthly bills on time, and understanding the account you're opening, which can vary from bank to bank. However, I recommend to look for an account with no minimum balance. Avoid checking accounts that offer higher than normal interest rate, and ask that if you can swipe your card and you don't have enough funds to have the purchase denied instead of having the bank loan you money. Now, the checking account will help you stay on budget because with the checking account, you can open various accounts for specific reasons. For example, you can designate one account for paying bills only to avoid assessing it.
Well, that's all the time that we have today with our expert, Gemma. Thank you for your time, and we'll head back to the studio with Lluvia and Damaris, who will educate us on investing. However, before then, we will see a short interview of Damaris testing people's knowledge on investing.
So I am here today with Ana Avinas, and Ana, why should we invest in stocks?
Investing in a stock gives you a return in your money, but there is a fall down. This means that a value stock can drop in short terms. There's no guarantee you will actually realize any source of positive return. You could also lose money by even over the long terms.
Oh, so investing in stocks can give us a positive outcome but may not have our money back, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, finally, for our last financial report, we will be discussing investing. Investing is the distribution of money and the expectation of some benefits in the future. Money invested can be lost, but you can also get your money back with high interest return rates.
One of the most important things the audience to understand is that savings and investments are two different things. Like stated, investings can help you gain higher earning for your money, while savings is the income you do not spend or money put aside. When savings, there are some return rates, but they are very low. However, with savings, you do not have to worry about losing your money.
Nevertheless, making savings a priority before investing, because without savings, you won't have money to invest.
Although investing seems complicated, it really isn't. Anyone can start investing regardless of their age. It is actually recommended to start investing as soon as possible, as long as you can, as long as you have all your high investment debt paid off and have built an emergency fund to provide for a minimum of 3 months income in case you should lose your job.
The sooner you start investing, the more likely you are to gain your money. Whether you're young or old, the best type of investing to start off are saving for retirement, buying a house, saving for college using 529 plan, the Covered Well Education Saving Account or U.S. saving bonds, or investing in short-term investments such as emergency funds, money market business saving accounts, and short-term certificate of deposit.
Now, once you get the hang of investments, the investments you should accept to go over the stocks, such as stocks or stocks mutual funds, bonds, fixed income investments such as bonds or bonds mutual funds, and lastly, cash equivalent and includes certificate of deposit, treasury bills, money market funds, and similar investments.
Cash equivalents have lower risk and have lower returns, while stocks have higher risk and higher returns. Now, if you're looking for returns reward in investing, try peer-to-peer, high investing savings, certificate of deposit, dividend-paying stocks, credit card rewards, annuity, treasury, inflation protection, security, and money market fund.
Although there are various of different kinds of investments, we should like to focus our attention on stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and certificate of deposit. First, there are two main classes of assets investors use in their portfolios.
Stocks offer an ownership stake in company, while bonds are a kind of loan made to company or organization, and stocks are considered more riskier and volatile than bonds. Bond is a debt security in which the authorized issue owes the holder a debt that is obligated to repay principals and interest. Bonds do not have a centralized exchange or trading system. Bonds are secure and generally issued by public sector, specters, and initial investors.
Stocks are capital raised by a corporation or joint stock company through the issuance and distribution of shares. Stocks have centralized exchange and trade system. The stockholder owns a part of the company. This kind of investment in secure is generally issued by a corporation or joint stock company owner.
When it comes to the stock's benefits include stock ownership, taking advantage of growing economy, staying ahead of inflation, easy to buy, making money through day trades, outperforming the market, and is easy to sell.
The disadvantages include losing entire investments. Stockholders are paid last if company goes broke, requires a lot of time, and an emotional roller coaster. You will be competing against professionals.
If you want to invest in a stock, go online on an online broker firm or go through face-to-face broker. After evaluating a stock, decide the price people may like to purchase so they know whether to make a market or limit order. To save on a broker fees, people may buy some stocks directly from the company. Another type of investment is a mutual fund. Mutual funds are an investment program funded by a shareholder that treats our diversified holdings and is professionally managed.
The pros of investing in mutual funds includes convenience ways for the average investor to buy investments, which would be too complex to manage on their own. Thousands of individual security, investment size, amount of deposit doesn't matter. You can start with a large or small amount, and no experience is needed.
The cons of investing in mutual funds are fee too expensive to manage, charge investors sell commission, annual fees, share price calculation, price depends on the net asset value, and buying or selling order for a mutual fund. The prices are set until the official market date. Another type of investment is certificate of deposit. A certificate of deposit is a savings certificate with a fixed maturity date. The pros of certificate of deposit are security of your money, better returns than savings deposit, wide sections of terms, a fixed predictable returns that even if the return rate drops over time, they will respect the initial return rate.
The pros of certificate of deposit are inflation risk, low related returns, and reinvestment rate.
Compound interest is the process of growing. To calculate compound interest, you could find an online calculator or use the formula A equals P, parentheses 1 plus bracket R divided by N, bracket parentheses all over N to the power of 2.
For the form A equals amount end up with, P initial deposit known as principal, R annual interest rate in decimal form, N equals number of compound period per year, and T amount of time in years that your money compound.
Well, thank you for joining us today at Newsnow, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.
So your credit score began to drop?
Right. There are 10 most common mistakes that will ruin your credit score, and I committed at least 5 of them.
And what are those 10 mistakes you made to damage that credit card score, and which ones did you commit?
Well, the first mistake I made was racking up credit debt early in life. See, many people tend to get their first credit card in college, and that isn't recommended because they began to accumulate debt. Find it's easy.
Tomorrow. Okay. Another type of investment is